Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vent Session. I'm Riza.
And I'm Julika.
Today we have Nalani with us. She's from New York. She now lives in Charlotte, where she works as a site reliability engineer. Outside of work, she loves reading, pottery, candles, kayaking, fishing, and anything that keeps her close to the water. Behind her smile is a powerful story of healing, transformation, and faith. Today, she's sharing how faith, vulnerability, and genuine community helped transform her life and reminding her that no part of her story was ever wasted. We're so grateful to have you here with us today, Nalani.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much again. So, people that are meeting you for the first time, who is Nalani?
That's a great question. Nalani is a quiet soul that loves to be alone, but also has recently discovered that she loves community, meeting people, having conversations with people. And she has gone from being very hyper independent into just a full reliance on God, full reliance and dependence on God, and just partnering with Him through her life and just being able to fulfill her purpose and understanding that like life is just not my own. It's, for His glory and for the people that are connected to my obedience.
Amen. Yes. And I know that that hasn't always been Nalani. So, tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yes, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. It was very interesting. So I'm a family of five. My mom and dad were in the household, and then I have a younger brother and an older brother. And that was very stressful for me being the only girl, just because everyone else had a stronger personality than I did. And so, we didn't necessarily get along. And so I would say just inside the household, it was very hard for me, as well as outside the household was hard for me. But I think I was just looking oftentimes for an escape. And so that was where I would like, find hobbies. I love to read, I really took to school a lot, just because I'm like, this is my escape. Like it was something I was good at. And then I just felt like um, I had to get out of here. I wanted to escape. Looking back in hindsight, I didn't know that this was God, but He allowed me to escape. And that was when I then went away for boarding school and for high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, tell us a little, how was that experience?
So I guess to go back a little bit, so my parents, they were okay with it because they were very hands off. So like my mom was like, she was a stay-at-home mom and like just our primary caretaker. And so my younger brother was a lot to handle. And so it was kind of like a lot of her attention was focused on him. I went under the radar. I was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of got to make my own decisions. And that was one that I made. And so yeah, they were like, okay, if you want to go, go, Okay.
Wow.
I don't think they fully knew what it was. But yeah, being there, I'd always wanted to go away. And I had did a program that allowed me this opportunity. And I think that they had told me that I thrive in unfamiliar settings. And so this was like an opportunity. I call it the beginning of my new life. But yeah, it was very interesting being away from home. Um, I went to Massachusetts and it was just different. It was a lot of different people, it was like a lot of different people from different backgrounds. And yeah, it was very different, especially coming from Brooklyn, which is like I was like an inner city kid and I kind of moved in into suburbia. And so that was like a shock for me, honestly. And I think also I struggled with like identity issues. And so in a way, it just kind of followed me, even being in boarding school. It was kind of like I was really just a product of my environment. And so instead of like kind of holding my own and, just trusting that I had my own personality and that I could stand on it, I felt like I was like going with the wind and just in different directions and just had no real grounding. But yeah, but it was fun. Yeah.
So how was that for you? Like being led by somebody who really they have authority over you, but not really.
Yeah. It was hard in the beginning for sure. I think just based on my background, like I was kind of, I would get into it with my parents a lot. So it was different having that authority. But I think I opened up a lot in boarding school. So I was very open. I tried to be a little bit more extroverted. So I felt like I was like, okay, I'm here. Let me make the most of this. So like, let me try to embrace this authority. Let me try to learn from them. And I think that it made me happier. I would say I was definitely happier being there. And I think it was just being open to embracing a new life. It was just like a different scenery. Everything was different. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that I was making the most out of it and I wasn't being small. I was nervous because I was one of the only like few Black kids there. But yeah, it was definitely just, it was interesting because it was just a lot of different personalities.
So the thing that came to me as you were talking, because you're like, a new beginning, a new life, what came to me was running away.
Yep.
When I say running away, like
Mhm.
what comes to you?
So yeah, that's the exact expression that I would use. Or just in all the areas of my life, they were very hard. So, home was hard. I didn't get along with my siblings. We were fighting all the time. I didn't feel like I was getting attention from my family at all. And then, like I said, I had school, but it was hard for me to make friends. I was getting bullied and teased. So it was like, okay, well, I don't really know where I fit in. I don't know exactly where, my safe space is. And so I was like, okay, like I need to go someplace else. I need to go someplace else. And I just remember my guidance counselor, he told me about this program. He was like, yeah, you do this 14 months academic program and then you'll go to boarding school. And I was like thrilled at the idea. I was like, oh, I get to go away. I get to be away from my family. Because I'm thinking like, it won't always be like this. I'm thinking that if I go someplace else, then, they'll embrace me. I'll be loved. I'll get the attention that I wanted so badly. And yeah, and I just remember like during the program, like we kind of had to, it was like a lot of things, like a long interview process that again, God showed up in a way that only He can. But I just remember the final part, we wrote an essay about why we wanted to go to boarding school. And that was like the first time I like poured out my heart. And I was like, I want to get away. Like, I cannot stay here. Like, I think, and I was also cutting myself. So I was dealing with a lot of self harm. And so I was like, I don't think I will make it if I stay here. And I truly do believe that I don't think that I would have yeah. I just felt like I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel loved at all. And so I was like, well, there's nothing for me here. So like, what's the worst that can happen? I can move to another place. And if it happens again, then it happens again. But it's like, I felt like I faced the worst, which is just like being neglected by the people that were supposed to love me. So yeah,
Did, did your parents know that you were inflicting harm on yourself?
my mom knew. Well, I think this might have been true, but that I was doing it for attention. And so she kind of was just like, okay, well, this is just like her acting out. And yeah.
Did you have any support during that time?
I was in therapy. We never talked about the self-harming, honestly. We just talked about what was going on in the home. And yeah, I would also say that my therapists weren't like for kids, so that also was just like very rocky in itself. But yeah, we had like guidance counselors at the program that I was at because it was like they took a bunch of like inner city kids, a lot of Black kids dealing with things at home. And so it was really important for them to like make sure that our home environment was okay. And so I did share with them that I was self-harming, but that was like really the extent of it. I think that my mom was just so preoccupied, yeah, with other things and
And
just numb to it maybe.
yeah, also I feel like because even now it's not really talked about that much. Back then that was a different form of taboo. Think about it, if now therapy is coming to light and people are accepting it, back then it was probably more, and she probably didn't know how to handle it or probably didn't
Exactly.
approach it. What advice would you give to someone out there that has a child that's going through something like that and they don't know how to help them?
I would say I would start by just beginning to develop a more intimate relationship with the child, just so you can understand more about their world, about what the thoughts that are going on in their head, anything that they may be sensitive to, and then getting them help. I really do encourage, like, because sometimes, it's harder to open up to someone that you know. So
Mhm.
maybe you're not able to open up to a parent, but you can open up to a stranger who may be a therapist. But I think sometimes that we think that, kids are acting out and we just think it's like behavioral. But I do think that we should put more importance on it because I think it is serious. And this is something that can then turn into something else when they're older. So I just feel like just being there for them, and it's like understanding that you may not understand it, and even also understanding, like, as a parent, you think you're doing something for the child, but, like, the child may not be receiving it that way. So I just feel like having those open and honest conversations and being open to changing the way that you're parenting that child. But I do think just incorporating a therapist into that, so allowing that child to have those individual therapy sessions, as well as also bringing in the parents and even if the family, if that's necessary. But I just feel like just being more in tune with the child, and if you feel like your child needs extra attention, then just being willing to do that, because I think that a lot of times, life is happening, work is happening, and so the child and it's like if the child is not forthcoming with her feelings or their feelings, and it's hard to really just, see if anything's going on. But I just do think that, like, just trying to be more in tune and just getting them help earlier on.
Yeah, it's very important. I think, like you said, like having that relationship, that bond and connection and allowing them to feel safe with you as a parent. As you get older, it's going to be different stages in life and different things that might come up. Like you said, you dealt with bullying, you dealt with so much. So, being able to go to your parent and feel safe that you can come to them and express yourself and not feel like you're bothering or,
Mhm.
like they're not listening and then them resort into other things that, because it could, it could be inflicting harm, it could be drugs, it could be so much other stuff, getting involved with the wrong people. So who was that person for you? I know you said this program, right? This was
Mhm.
like God sent, you were able to get out. And I know you mentioned God, so I want to hear a little bit too about your relationship with God, I guess, as a child and throughout.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I don't think I had a person that was like my safe place growing up. And regarding God, so I had gone to church when I was younger with like my family, like my extended family, but I didn't develop my personal relationship with him until I was in my 20s. But I would say that looking back, it's like for me to just say, like, okay, like, let me look at how he was trying to call me in so many different ways and how he was there for me. And I'm like looking back at my life and I'm like, oh yeah, like he was there like in those moments, because I don't know how I got to those interviews. Honestly, I'm just like, it was just God. It was
It
just
was God.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew that I needed to be in a different place that was not, Brooklyn, that wasn't my home. And so he got me there. But yeah, I would say I didn't have that adult that was my safe place. And I think that that was just grounds for like, just addiction that happened on later in life and stuff like that. But I think that even friends wise, like, I don't know if I was ever completely honest with anyone about what was going on.
What was your turning point? I know that you mentioned you went to a boarding school, but that wasn't necessarily the turning point, or was it for
The
you?
turning point for God.
Your turning point for just that the space where you were at emotionally and mentally, it sounded like you were in a like almost falling into a pit. But what was your turning point when you were able to get out of that?
I would say before that, from high school and college and grad school, I would say that I was masking it. So I was like putting on a front that, yes, I felt a void within myself and I was dealing with things mentally and emotionally. I was covering that up with partying or just social time with friends. I was depressing it, just putting it to the back of my mind because I'm just like, like no one's going to care about this stuff. I don't even really want to let anybody into my world. So I would put on a front, and to myself, I believed that I was happy. It wasn't until I had an actual breakdown after grad school that everything had come to the surface.
Mm. So when you say you had a breakdown, what happened?
So I was so during college and grad school, I developed a weed addiction. And so at first it was like a social thing. And then it became me like just doing it by myself and doing it even more frequently. I stopped going to classes. I wasn't going to my internship, or I wasn't going that often. And I was in Chicago by myself. All my friends because I was in grad school, so all my friends had already gone away. And I was just like, just in my apartment, just by myself, like all the time by myself. I cut off all my friends and I couldn't find a job, another thing that God saved me with. And so my parents were just like, you need to come back to New York. My mom thought that something was wrong. So I came back, and that was when I started my therapy journey again. And I was diagnosed with like depression and anxiety initially. And I was just like crying in bed all day, just crying, 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 and then smoking and smoking and just like not just, doing really much of anything. I didn't feel like anyone understood me. I was back in a place where my last memory of my family was that they didn't care about me. So those feelings were just building the start of the diagnosis of my mental health issues. Yeah.
Do
And
you
just like me seeking help.
did getting that diagnosis, did it help you move forward? Did that diagnosis help or did it hurt? Like some people, because you're struggling and it's like you know what you're struggling with, but you don't know. And
Mhm.
then when you finally get that diagnosis, did that help you like move out of that? Like finally receiving that, did it help you get help and move away from that space?
I don't think it helped. I think I started hating myself even more because I'm like, why me? Like, why do I have to be depressed and anxious? And it's like, I know that other people may be dealing with this, but they may have a job, like they may be more functioning than I was. So I was just like turning it very internal into myself and just having a lot of conflict. But that was the first of, I think, a few diagnoses that I had. But yeah, I would say that it did start the getting help for sure. Like that, I would say since I came home in 2018, that was like, I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out my mental health. I need to understand. I need to get better. I need to figure out why I'm like this because I would go through periods and spells during school of like, I would be very social. And then other times I would just be like in my room. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And so there was a lot of behavior that had become very normal to me and normal to my friends that I didn't know was a symptom of, mental illness that I had. So it was kind of just like, it helped me also just to understand myself a little bit better because I think that, again, like I was saying, I was putting on this mask and just trying to, tell people like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. But I think it helped me to understand myself because I didn't understand myself. I was like, I didn't know why I was like this. My family didn't know why I was like this. So it gave me more clarity for sure. Oh,
I know you mentioned that there was a moment where you landed in the hospital, and then that's when your mom brought you a book. Do you remember the title of the book?
yeah, it was A Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren.
And how did that book change your life?
Back up a little bit about how I ended up in the hospitals. I was dealing with a lot of paranoia. I thought people were following me. I was crying all the time. And my therapist was like, I want to have your mom on a call with us. And like 5 minutes into the call, she's like, I think you need to take Nalani to the hospital. And so, because I'm thinking I'm normal, like nothing is like, because when you're in that state, it's hard for you to see your actions and thoughts as like something that's not completely okay and right. So yeah, we went to the hospital and I was just like, I was having racing thoughts. So like a lot of thoughts, a lot of, self-harming thoughts and suicidal thoughts. And
Were you
when,
getting sleep?
no, I wasn't sleeping. Yeah. Yeah. And I also had stopped my medication.
So it was a mix of
So
lack of
exactly.
sleep
hmm
and not taking medication.
Yeah, and then I also stopped eating. So I was severely underweight. But yeah, I went to the hospital and she just I don't even know how she found, like I had got that book because I went to a church with my friends and they gave me that book, but
Mm.
she just randomly brought it. And I was like, well, I have nothing but time here. So like, let me just, read this. And I'm reading it. And that was the first time I felt, for one, peace in my mind, like my mind was clear. And that was the first time I understood what was going on. I wasn't mad at God about what was going on. The book helped me understand I was running for so long and he was trying to get my attention for so long that it took, because, God knows you, so some people, he doesn't need to do a lot to get their attention. But for other people like myself, I'm more stubborn. So that, he had to like take away certain things from me just to get my attention. So, that was like, he took away my friends, my life in Chicago, he took away my enjoyment for weed. And so it was kind of like, okay, girl, like you're going to have to pay attention to me at some point. And that was the first time it was like, okay, God, like he was front of mind. I was talking to him and I was like, okay, I'm going to do things your way. I feel like I also would say that book also helped me understand a little bit more about my self-worth and my purpose in life because I had been depressed and anxious and suicidal because I felt like I had no self-worth, that I was like, I didn't have value because I didn't have a job, because I wasn't as attractive as I used to be and like stuff like that. And so I was, well, there's no point in living. I didn't feel there was a point. And the book kind of helped me understand you're living for God. You're living to serve him, to serve other people. Your life is not your own. It's not just about you. There are
Mm.
people that are connected to you. There are people that you're supposed to be serving. I think for so long I was so focused on me and like I want my life to look like this and I want, this and that and just like my preferences and I just want things to go my way. And the book just helped me understand like you're supposed to be doing so much more. There's God that you should be serving. You should have an internal transformation. There shouldn't just be you, your ambitions, your goals, and your plans. Like that's just not, how you should just be living your life.
That's just in itself, right? It's so beautiful. I can relate to just how, and then having that one moment where it's like God just hits you and you're like, no, like I'm loved, I'm valued, God sees me, like, and I love that you said that our purpose in life is to serve and like how many people are connected to us. I just love just how God connects us to people when we need them
Mhm.
the most, and He puts us in the right places at the right time, and nothing is by coincidence. And so it's just, I love that it wasn't a coincidence that you had that book already, but your mom happened to find it and bring it to you at the hospital. Like it was just there waiting. Like
Mhm.
I need her to get this. I love just God. I just love
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
It's emotional hearing. I mean, hearing your testimony is really, really I like it. It strikes the heart.
I'm just going on the point of um how God connects us to people. So in the hospital, there was like we were like, going to like classes and things like that. And there was this one class about God that I wanted to go to. But before I could go, like I was in the class and then I was pulled out by like a social worker. And so I missed the class. And there was like the hospital's chaplain was leading it. She came to find me after this is getting emotional. It was reinforcement from the book God, I am here with you. Like I was sharing my testimony with her and I was kind of just telling her, that I'm in this hospital because like this is where I'm getting closer to God. Like this is where he's taking, he's convicting me of things. He's saying we can do this together. You don't have to rely on self-medicating. You don't have to rely on your own strength. Like, everything from that point was so God-centered. I went into rehab after and we talked about God every session. Like it was so crazy. I was just like, okay, God, like I hear you. I'm talking to you every day. I am praying to you because I could not do this by myself. I know people don't talk about weed addiction a lot. I did not think that I was gonna be able to be sober from that at all. And I was just like, God, like I just need you here every day. Like every time I had a craving, I was like, God, please. And just the fact that we were talking about God in rehab, I thought that was so crazy. And I was like, this is just so powerful. And I just felt like I was finding the right people. Like he was connecting me
Mhm.
just to the right people and just to strengthen me because again, like I can't do this by myself. I need God and I need community and I needed his people. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I community is so important, and I don't think people understand that. Like for so many years, I feel like I ran from people, like I hid from people, like I just wanted to be alone all the time. I mean, I find myself doing it now, and I have to, push myself because I know better now. But when you don't know better, or when you pretend not to know better, it's so easy to run away from people. But without people, you can't accomplish anything. Like that's a lie from the pit of hell to say, "Oh, I did everything by myself. I accomplished all these things alone." That's a lie. There's no way
Mhm.
you can do anything on your own. You need everyone around you. You need them because that's how God created us to work together. We're a body. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I love that you're talking about community.
Yeah. And so I know you mentioned, so you found God, right, at your lowest point. You found him in the hospital during rehab. He built the community around you to help strengthen you, to help, where you were learning more about his word, learning about who you are through Christ. And so like tell us a little bit about then the journey, like leaving once you graduated rehab, finished, and then what was next for you?
I call this just like the year of like my internal transformation because,
This is COVID, right? Well, after
exactly. Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. A little after COVID. Yeah, exactly. So I was having a good COVID compared to other people. But yeah. But yeah, I think at first, because sometimes even when I think of blessings, I'm like, oh, this is like external factors. But I felt like he was starting like with my heart posture and just like my internal self. But yeah, so after rehab, I then did another hospitalization. But like after that, I went from crying all the time, having these paranoid thoughts, being severely depressed and anxious. And then all of a sudden, like after I graduated these programs, like I felt ready to get a job. So I'm like, okay, I can start working for my dad. Fine. But then I was like, okay, no, like I can do more. Like all of a sudden I had all this energy. I felt like God had given me a vision and it was like he had like just prepared me. I was like, this is like night and day between how I was in the beginning of the year and how I was now. So I had like read about this program and I was like, okay, like I want to do this program. I'm just gonna start studying. Like, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna start studying. And so I'm studying, like every day after work, I'm studying. And again, this is where, God starts. So I'm like praying to him. I'm just like, okay, like if this is what you want for me, like show me the way. So, and I think I'd heard about this program the year prior, but I was like, I don't think I'm ready. So let me just like postpone it a year. So I'm studying and I was like, you know what? Let me just like reach out to them just to see if they're still doing this program. Reached out to them, come to find out they moved the date up. So like I had like 2 days to fill out the application.
Gosh.
And so I was like, okay, I was like, but God, you got me because you gave me 2 days. So I'm having like a grand time filling out this application. I'm having fun. I'm like, oh my God, all this stuff that I was learning, like it's so interesting. Like I'm able to apply it. So just kind of fast forward, I get the interview and again, God just working in ways just so you can know it was him. I don't even know what I was saying in that interview. Like that's when I say like he was just speaking through me. I was merely a vessel and they just offered me a position in the program like at the end of the interview and I was just like,
On
wow,
the spot.
yeah, exactly. And so I was like, wow, like so I started praying to God this was when like my prayer life got real serious. Like I was praying every day and I was praying not just for what I wanted, but I was like, I want your will. Like I want what you have for me. Like I want your will to be done. If this is not for me, if it's not coming from you, then help me to release it. But yeah, so I did the program and I ended up being the first one to get a job in the program. And so like it was just like so many things like it was just crazy. It was just God was just showing up like yeah, there was just stuff that like I didn't understand in the moment. So say for example, like there was a concept I didn't understand, but like when I did the job interview, all of a sudden I was able to put things together and I'm just like, you see God, like I just remember just praying, like, that was, like I would say, like, I was a prayer warrior, like, that year. So yeah.
You
So
still
yeah.
are, you still
Yes,
are.
still are, yes. So that was, like, the start of it. But yeah, and so, after that so then it was like, okay, he blessed me internally, and now he was starting to change my external world. But that became a different journey with God because I think that I realized where I needed to work on my relationship with God. And I would say at the time I was dealing with like anxious attachment style. And so with God, this was carrying on with God. So I'm like, I felt like if he wasn't blessing me in a way that only I would understand, then he abandoned me. So I was like, oh God, I'm mad at you. You didn't show up in this way. And so I had to learn, like, first of all, I thought there were just so many misconceptions I think I had in this walk with God. I think I thought that by walking with him, life was going to be easy, but it's like, girl, read the Bible. Like, it don't say nothing
Right.
about it.
That is
Easy.
not
No one's walk was easy. Yeah. So it was just like that. I had to learn that. And then also realizing that my purpose wasn't just in my job. Like, yes, he got me this, but it was so much more than that. I think for one, it was so that I could tell my story just about the glory, the beauty, and the transformation of just having God in your life and relying on him. And then also that I was be able to help other people with the resources from my job. So I was just like, okay, I need to stop just praying for my job and praying every time, because you get you get the blessing and then the goalpost moves. And so I was like, okay, and I remember this chapter in the book that I read in the hospital. And it was talking about church. I was doing online church, like Potter's House of Dallas. I don't have to go to church. Like if I'm going to online church, maybe I need to move again. But like this time I wasn't running away from anything. I was running to something. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to move to Charlotte and I'm just going to come out of my shell. So I'm going to
Why Charlotte? Like,
okay, so yeah, a little background. So my family's from the South, so my immediate family's in New York, but my family's from South Carolina. So
okay.
I always knew I was like, I want to live down here so badly. And my grandparents were always like, why you live in New York? Why do you want to live down here? But I just loved it so much. And my dream school was in North Carolina. So I thought I was going to North Carolina. Now, what about North Carolina really captivated me? I can't tell you. It was the weather for the most part, but I was just like, I'm just gonna move. Also, yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna move. I don't know. I'm just gonna pick North Carolina. I was like, God, if you allow this transition to happen, then I think that like I prayed about it for like a year. I was like, okay, like let me just see if this is where you want me because there's a lot of different places to go. But I wasn't really attached to it. I was just like, we're gonna go and just see what happens. Like if it's not North Carolina, then it'll be someplace else. But I was like, God, this is me. This is like me and you. We're going. And I think also that it was so important for me to move because I was living at home with my parents and my family. And I felt like I felt like a kid. Like it was like I felt like my parents were like just in my ear all the time and I couldn't make my own decisions and I wasn't trusting myself. So I'm like, you know what? Let me move. Let me like rely on God and his vision for me, his instructions, because I just felt like I couldn't grow where I was. And so yeah, I moved to North Carolina.
And I love when people come on here and say that. Like they just got up and left. I'm like, that's so cool. Like how do you have, the guts to just get up and go? But only God,
Bold and courage,
yeah,
yeah.
that in you,
Yeah.
for you to just move and just know for sure, for certain that you're gonna have something stable.
I've been here for like a year and a half.
Um, how did you find your church home?
So, I'm big on YouTube, right? So, like, I was like researching, like, okay, what does Charlotte living look like? And so, this girl that I found, she was going to Union Church. So there were like two churches that I was gonna go to. I was gonna try Union Church, and then it was another church. I don't remember the name, but I was like, okay, let's start with Union Church. So I go, and it just so happens to be the first Sunday of 2024. Like this was like everyone was going to church that day. And I just remember, oh, yeah, I just remember the sermon PB was talking about when you reduce your relationship with God to a to-do list, like to a routine. And I was so convicted. I was like, oh, wow. Because that's how I was treating him. I was like, okay, well, if I pray, did I read my Bible today? Did I, and it was just like, he's not looking.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, he's not looking for you to do like, yes, you should be doing those things, but it shouldn't be.
A checklist.
Exactly. Like, it shouldn't feel like a job or anything like that. So I was like, oh, wow. And that was like, I would say that was the first sermon that I felt talked about your relationship with God. Because when I was doing online church, and yes, those sermons served me in that moment, in that season. It was more of like motivation, second wind during your waiting season. But I felt like, no, like this is convicting me about my relationship with God. Like, yes, he gave you all these things, but like, how are you honoring him? Are you doing his work? Things like that. So yeah, from then on, I was like, okay, I filled out the connection card at that first sermon and I was like, okay, this is going to be it. I remember the first thing I did was I think groups were starting. And so I joined the Care Kids group because I was like, oh my, when I found out about the Care Kids group, I was like, because I was like, just that was something that was just very important to me, like just hygiene, just from my journey. But I was
So
like,
share a little bit about care kits for those that are listening that
mhm,
don't know what a care kit is.
yes. So care kits are these pouches that we create, and they have like, bottles of water, they have snacks, chapstick, deodorant, things like that, just very intentional items, as well as a handwritten note of an encouraging word or, a scripture. So like, whatever, you use in your lower moments, just like to write that on a card. And really, these pouches are just like kind of an arm from the Union Church to our houseless brothers and sisters. And just to kind of remind them that we see them, that God sees them and loves them, and that there's a place at Union Church for them. God has plans to prosper them, even though it may not seem like it. Because obviously, when you're in those seasons, in those valleys, it's very difficult to kind of see the other side. But it's like, no, like he has plans to prosper you. It's all going to work together. You don't understand it because it's God. We're not supposed to understand it, but just to kind of give them like a second wind, just a reminder that like, no, like it gets better for sure. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. That really is.
So you joined the Care Kids, and that was your first group.
Yeah.
And you've actually led the group as well. So
Yes.
you've just God's continued to work through you, and you've continued to just grow even in leadership within the church. And I remember, you were always like you were always serving. You serve like every Sunday. So every Sunday you were serving. I know yours was the afternoon service, and it's just seeing Nalani. I mean, I was always too like very shy introvert, but then there's something about when you're there serving that it starts to kind of peel that, like, layer of and you just become, like, you're greeting and you're helping and you're serving and you're, like, leading a group, and it's like God just, like you said, transforming you, like, leading to you where He wants you to be the person that He's created you to be, and you've started through that journey. Now you're actually a team lead, right, for the groups. So I'm just it just makes my heart so happy. Yes, this is the growth and just how God works. And so tell me a little bit of how finding community, how did that start to like change you? Like true community, right? That God, like-minded people.
Yeah. So I would say, I also resonate when you said you were running from people because I was running from people. I was very introverted. But I think honestly, I don't know, it's just been very beautiful. I think that it's so amazing to hear other people's walks with God and just like their journey and their reflections. I think that because it's like I think a lot of times it also reinforces a lot of things that God may have told you about, and it's like, okay, well, you have a supportive community where you can grow. So, like, if, for example, like I wanted to grow in leadership or in prayer and any of those things, it was kind of like, okay, well, you have a community that is going to not force you, but going to, help you to do that. And I
Mhm.
think
Kinda
for
push
you
you.
exactly, yeah. And I think Union Church does an like, I feel like at Union Church, you can't be small. Like, I feel like that's why I'm like, I know God put me here for a reason because if it were up to me, I would just be in the shadows, just behind the scenes. But I feel like it was like God put it on their hearts to like, no, we need to like identify people who can grow. Like, what are ways that we can help you grow? How can we help God to carry out, this molding of you into the person that He's called you to be? So I would say that that's just been very transformative. And I think it's just finding community. I would say for so long, for like almost a decade, I honestly believe that I didn't need community, that I could just do this by myself. But I find so much joy from community now. Like, I love to meet people. I love to have conversations about God, about their walks. And I think also of just like, it's also like, in a way, also an accountability partner or community. I think it's like, okay, well, if you feel you're going to stumble, then here's someone that can help. They can pray with you, they can encourage you. And that's something that you can't really do on your own. And I don't want to do it on my own. It's like, no, like I want to share my story. Like I want to also help people with their walk, but also lead other people. So it was really important to me. Like God was like, you have to share your testimony because I keep it to myself because I'm like, this is a lie. It's a lot of shame and things, but I'm like, shame is not of God.
No.
And I just wanted to make sure that I was just sharing what happened to me because it's like God can do it. If He can do it for me, He can do it for anybody. Like, I just feel like, and it's like, yes, it may take a while and it may not look the way you think it's going to look, but like He can transform your life. And just, I think a lot of times the vision that we have for ourselves. So for myself, like I was like, oh, I could do this. I can do this in isolation. And it's like, no, like you should want what God wants for you, what God has ordained for you. You should want that community. And it's so crazy because like I'm still an introvert completely, but like I literally find so much joy in community. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've blossomed. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's very
Mm.
nice to feel that way. And I think, like, also just being able as a person that was dealing with, mental health issues and anxiety and, social anxiety, it's like I feel like I can use my struggles to connect with other people. So, like, even on the team, like, because it's easy. A lot of people are shy. So it's like, I know I can kind of give them, like my experience, like, yes, like, let me walk with you and do this, because I was there, at one point as well. So I think it's just like, using what God allowed you to go through to help other people. But yeah, no, community is definitely like,
Mm.
I had no idea that this is what I needed. Like, that's why I say, like, God will give you what you need. You don't know it, but, like,
You
he will
don't
give
know
you
it?
what you need. Yeah.
Yes, at the right time, at the right
Yeah.
time. And I get teary-eyed. It's just, you know, I don't know why. I am very emotional.
Mhm.
But just, hearing you speak, and you're right, like God wants us to open up and share the way that he's, worked in our lives, because it just takes that one person to hear like your story, and for them not to feel, "Oh, I'm the only one dealing with it," because that's what the enemy wants, right? He wants us in isolation. He wants us to feel like we're the only ones going through these things. But then when we finally, and for me, it's like always, sometimes I'll be in a group setting and I'm like, I'm not going to talk. Like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to listen. I'm here to listen. And the Holy Spirit's like, no, you're going to open your mouth. You're going to speak, say, and share. And then you share, and then you have somebody else that's like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, this is how I've been feeling. Thank you for saying that. Or, like, and then you're just like, wow, I'm not alone. And then it just starts to move. And it's been in so many different occasions where I've listened, because I didn't always listen to that voice to like speak up. But when you start to get closer and build your relationship with God, and like when he's leading you, like thinking about scripture, like what were those go-to scriptures for you that kind of helped you through your healing process, through your healing journey?
Okay. I would say 2. I don't know I'll just say what it's supposed or paraphrase it. But the verse where it says, "I didn't give you
Spirit of
this."
fear.
Spirit of
Yeah,
fear,
yeah, mhm. Yeah,
but of love and
exactly.
a sound
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah. That one, because I was just dealing with the spirit of anxiety a lot and fear. And then also in terms of my walk with God and just like how I was wrestling with him about where he wanted to take me. It was with Moses, and when Moses was like, "I think you have the wrong person, like, find someone else." And, God was just like, "No, like, I will teach you what to do. I will help you. I will teach you what to speak." I say that to myself every single day. But yeah, I would just say also that, God's strength is or God's power is strengthened in our weakness. I didn't have to come to the plate with everything. Like, I didn't have to, have the skills or qualifications. Like, he knows this. He is going to help me. He is going to strengthen me. Like, he knows I'm not doing this by myself. And I think that's for me, just in my journey, I was so used to being very hyper independent. And it was like,
Mhm.
no, like, you can rely on God. Like, like, this is what he wants you to do. Like, his power is strengthened in it. Like, he's not asking for you to come fully ready. So yeah, I think that was just very
Right.
important for me to know.
Those
So
are good.
so with everything that you went through with the community and how you came to Charlotte and you found a new church home, did that lead to your complete healing? How was that going with
Yeah, so I would say finding a church home that definitely healed a lot. I think it also just helped me to redirect my relationship with God and giving him my full yes. But I also just wanted to make sure that I was serving God outside of church. I think that that was something that in this season I'm like really prioritizing. So obviously, like just being in my Bible, just strengthening my prayer life, but also like God has put a lot of vision on me about just like things that he wants me to do. So, just volunteering outside of church. Like I'm on the outreach team at church and I volunteer, but also just doing that on my own.
Mhm.
I know, like, for example, like he allowed me to overcome addiction. So I want to be able to kind of just help that community out. Another thing is I used to deal with a lot of hygiene issues, and that was something that I was very passionate about. And so, like, kind of mixing that with the care kits, I was like, I want to create little care kits for, women who are homeless. and just to give those out, and so there's just a lot of things that I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm doing, just giving him my full yes. It's like, yes, like I don't want to just keep coming to him and asking him for things. It's like, no, like he's asking things of me and I want to make sure that I am fulfilling that and I am being as obedient
Mhm.
to him. Like I'm just giving like a full yes. Like we will
Yeah.
figure out the details later, but let me just say yes. Like scared, anxious, all that.
All
I'm
the
just
things
yes, yes. Yeah.
that
It's when you give him your yes, it's like everything falls into place and you don't even without you having to do anything. So
Mhm.
I feel like when we, like you said, in our weakness, his strength is magnified. And when we do that, when we stand back, when we take a step back, that's when he like starts putting everything in place instead of us working so hard
Mhm.
for independence to, "Oh, I got this," when we stop doing that, which that's the hard part, right? It's letting go. That's when he steps in. I'm developing my relationship with God and mostly obedience. I want to learn to be obedient immediately versus hearing it, thinking about it, sitting
like,
up.
"Did you really say that?" Like, I don't think that was for me.
So I'm trying to teach myself to, act in the moment. I love the what you mentioned about the care kits because I was like, that's a great idea for me to do this Thursday with the kids, like have them create the pouches and probably take them out and have them handed out. So thank you. I mean, great idea. And that way I can get the kids doing something for other people versus just thinking about themselves.
Teaching them, yeah, it's a teaching moment. Nalani, is there anything on your heart, that you didn't speak on that you wanna share?
I guess maybe a little bit about identity.
Mhm.
I think that or just my walk with God. So I would say just coming from my background, it was hard for me to understand or accept that God loved me. I felt like that was something I struggled with and I just had to like go through so much. There was just a lot of weeks of Bible study where I was just like reinforcing that within myself. But I guess I just want to kind of just from my journey, just kind of tell people that like God will never forget you, regardless of what thoughts are in your head, and just to seek Him. I think that a lot of times I felt like I didn't hear from Him, or, I would get like very just like antsy around that. But I think that just getting to know Him and reading your Bible and just understanding His character I think will just that really helped me to just rebut like a lot of the thoughts that I would have in my head. Like it's like, no, like this is not God's character. Like he said this is it. Like this is, and just like how you feel, don't give like yes it's a thought, but like don't give into it. Don't believe it. You don't have to believe it. But yeah, I would just say getting to know God's character and just, having a relationship with him for yourself. One that exists outside of church and outside of your family. But yeah, just making sure
Mhm.
that that's something that I'm working on, just like making sure that like in all areas of my life that God is present, that I am praising him, worshiping him, and just like being Christ-like with everyone. And I think that's the hardest part. Like I said, for example, like with my family, it's like, no, like God wants you to forgive them. Like he's not doesn't want you
Mhm.
with a hard heart. And so it's also just like I have to do the things that I don't wanna do, like, it's like no one is saying that this road is easy, that this journey is easy, no one is saying also, you don't get to do what you want to do, like I said, your life is not your own and just accepting that and living through that, and I think also it's just like, I don't wanna have unforgiveness in my heart. I want to be nice to people, like, I want to be caring and serving of other people, so I think just
Mhm.
that, and I think also just for identity, like, understanding that, this took a while, but, like, understanding that God made me how I am for a reason. I shouldn't want to be anybody else. Like there are people that I can reach because of who I am. And it's like, it's may not be the 99, but it's like if I'm just going after that one, that is
The
just for
one.
me. Like I feel like that's just very powerful and just understanding like you don't have to have the grandest numbers. It's like, no, just going after that one person is just like
Mhm.
it has the same importance. So yeah, that's just something
Yep.
that this is the season that I am in. But yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Yes, it's so important. And I think this is one of the scriptures, 2 Timothy and 7 through 8 is what came. It's like, for the Spirit of God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and discipline, self discipline. So do not be ashamed of the testimony about our Lord. And I think that, like something that you had said about, not being ashamed of your story, not being ashamed of what you went through, because it is, like you said, that one person is going to save that person's life. So thank you again for just coming on here, being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. Cause I know it's not easy. It's not easy to, open up and share something so personal, right, with the world, because this is going out to the world, and somebody's going to, listen to this. And I just hope that whoever is listening, if you are dealing with suicidal thoughts or, self-harm, please share it with somebody, talk to somebody, know that you're not alone, that you are loved. And God is with you. He is with you every step of the way, even when you don't feel like it, even when you feel like you're alone. God is always with us. You can point out, like, there's a certain God wink in your life, like that you're like, "Oh wow, yes, God was with me in this moment. God saved me in this moment." Like, it could have been so much worse, but it wasn't. We are here. And so just, seek the help that you need. It's nothing to be ashamed about, because we all have gone through something. Thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing.
Thank I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to tell you that thank you because that really, really, like you opening up like that. I was trying really hard not to get emotional, but that touched my heart. Like it really did.
Well,
Just open up about something so deep that you faced. So thank you for sharing that. For being brave enough to talk about it.
yeah.
Cuz there's a lot of people that go through it, but they once they do if they do get out of it, they don't have the courage that you just had to share it. So thank you. Cuz it's going to help
Mhm.
somebody. It's going to help me cuz now after this I'll go have a conversation with my kids. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the safe space.
We hope that you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share this. Please share it with somebody that needs to hear this. Thank you, and see y'all next time.